SmorgShow Radio.
I never realized how wonderful technology could make me feel. The Smart Mark has brought order to my life.
Hello. Welcome back to the Smorgasbord Radio Show, episode 169. It's been a few months, but we're back in the saddle once again for the kickoff of the fall season 2023.
Come in. Set it down here on the counter. Yes, thank you. Care to stay a while?
Well, welcome to the SmorgShow Lair. My good friend is coming down the stairs now, Jerome Malauskas, Chief Conspiracy Correspondent.
Whoa! Oh.
You okay over there?
Man, you got to fix those steps. I almost broke my neck.
Yeah, it's just right for Halloween.
Oh, yeah, that's true. There's a lot of cobwebs, too.
Yeah, well,
but, you know.
Yeah.
Hello, everyone, by the way.
Yeah, welcome back, Jerry. It's been a few months. Last time you were here was July. And
Okay.
I have...
It's all a big blur to me. I
know.
forget.
All right, let's turn the Halloween stuff off. That's it. That's the end of our Halloween celebration.
Boo.
Okay. All right. Yeah, so let's see. What happened since we last saw each other? I went to Alaska. That's a whole separate thing, but that was cool. That was a cool trip. Maybe I'll spend some time on a future episode talking about that. Nah, I probably won't. Because if I haven't already, it's not worth talking about. Hey, I went on vacation 4 months ago. You want to hear about it?
You can see the slideshow, too. Actually, you can do a digital slideshow now.
Yeah, I can show you some pictures later. No, it was a good trip. It was a cruise. We went.
Did you go to Ketchikan?
Ketchikan, yeah. We went to Skagway, which was actually Ketchikan is the first city of Alaska.
Really?
Yeah, but we went as far north as Skagway, which is more of a sort of like a frontier kind of an area. We went hiking in the mountains. Saw some waterfalls.
Almost got eaten by a grizzly, but
yeah, I mean they had signs on the main level before saying, "Hey, there are bears around here, but don't worry about it." But then once you start going into the mountains, all bets are off. We started getting pretty far in there. I thought, yeah, maybe we shouldn't be doing this, but it was really cool. And then Ketchikan, the salmon capital of the world, fantastic. And Juneau, went to Juneau.
Love that movie.
Yeah.
No, yeah. That is, I believe, the cap. Wait a minute. What is the cap?
The capital is Juneau.
Capital is Juneau. Okay.
And it's not really on the mainland. You can only get to it by air and water. So it's like a
it's
peninsula.
That little strip that kind of goes down into British Columbia of Alaska that kind of cuts in. It cuts into Canada.
Yeah, although Juneau is almost like an island.
Oh,
it's not even connected to the mainland.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, I get it then. Okay. Well, I guess if you better like living there because it'd be hard.
I know. No, but I learned that on cruise ships that are U.S. based, that there is some law that was passed going back to the 1930s where any cruise that you go on, there has to be one port in a foreign country.
Okay.
So of course we stopped in Canada, and most of the ones in the Caribbean will stop in Mexico.
Oh, cool. That makes sense.
Yeah. And I'm not exactly sure why. It was like the Hatch Act of 1933. I don't know, but I digress. So anyway, what we're going to do today is we're going to do something a little different. I've been playing around. We've talked about artificial intelligence on previous episodes, but we're going to take it up a notch. I've been playing around with ChatGPT. I don't know if I should be. I'm going, what did you call it before? I'm flirting with what?
When you take the devil's shilling, you must pay a high interest. So,
Yeah. So I did. I started playing around with it, and I started.
Well, I can understand the fascination. I mean, anytime, it's kind of this thing that we created, but it seems to almost have a life of its own, if you know what I mean.
Well, I think it's good to know your enemy, know what you're up there, and if you stay educated on the matter,
Educated.
yeah, that's how we're able to see through these things as they come and they dish them out at us.
Exactly. I mean, you really need to up your levels of perception,
So
discernment.
yeah, so I decided to say let's make an entire episode completely generated by AI. Generative AI officially. And ChatGPT is just one of the engines that does this. So I put in there's like a little, almost like a search bar. You just type in, hey, give me a 1,000 word report on the Lincoln assassination. Bam. 5 seconds later, you've got your book report, which is a whole separate thing. It's like, I can't even imagine being a teacher in these days and like having to see through that. Now, apparently, Allie, my daughter, she said that there are tools that teachers can use to kind of determine whether they were AI generated.
Mm-hmm.
But they've got to stay one step ahead of this. So anyway, what I did was I said, create me a podcast where there are two hosts, where one is a conspiracy, takes the side of the conspiracy theorist, and then give me the counter, the realist, as they say. And it gave me a podcast. So what we're going to do here is do a little role play, and we're going to pretend like we're creating a new podcast together. And I'm going to be the person I'll be the realistic guy. You'll be yourself. You will be the chief conspiracy correspondent. You're host one, the conspiracy theorist, and I'll be host two, the realistic, the realist.
Realist, my fanny.
And of course, the conspiracy theorist is only 6 months away from being the realist.
Yeah, I guess it depends on, whether it gets in the news cycle or not.
Yeah. So let's see what we're going to do here. I thought maybe we can do this. Excuse me. Just cracked open a beer.
I'm getting a little too casual at this podcast, sir.
Okay, so you're going to be the intro here. I'm gonna kick off the music, and let's see if we'll just play it as we'll just do it as we go. All right, here we go. So let's start this up here. How's that?
Great music.
Yeah, I think maybe a little reverb might be working. Yeah, that's good. Great. So go ahead and
all right.
we'll pretend this is episode 1
of the Conspiracies Unveiled podcast. Welcome back, folks, to another mind-blowing episode of Conspiracies Unveiled. I'm your host, Jerome, and today we're diving deep into the rabbit hole of government cover-ups and secret societies.
And I'm your co-host, Chris. As always, I'll be providing some critical analysis and a more grounded perspective on these conspiracy theories. So let's get started, Jerome.
Okay.
Wait, I got like these interim stingers. Hold on a second.
Okay.
Okay. I'm going to turn this one down a little bit.
Yeah, okay. A little clash there. Well, all right, listeners. Today, we're delving into the mysterious world of chemtrails.
Oh.
Ever looked up at the sky and wondered if those contrails behind planes were more than just water vapor?
Chemtrails, huh? Well, there's actually a scientific explanation for those trails, Jerome. Chemtrails are formed...
You're not sounding condescending enough.
It says contrails here, is that right?
Yeah, that's contrails.
Oh. Contrails are formed when hot jet exhaust mixes with cold, high-altitude air, creating ice crystals. No secret government plot there.
Chris, you're falling for their lies. Those contrails are laden with mind-altering chemicals intended to control our thoughts and behavior.
Jerome, the scientific community has debunked those claims. There's no evidence supporting the idea of chemtrails being used for mind control. Plus, it wouldn't be very efficient considering the vastness of the sky.
Let's move on to something even bigger. The moon landing, Chris. Do you really believe we landed on the moon in 1969?
Absolutely, Jerome. There's a wealth of evidence, including moon rock samples and thousands of documents confirming the Apollo moon landings. It was a monumental achievement for human space exploration.
All right, well, what about the flag waving on the moon with no atmosphere to support it, or the lack of stars in the photos?
The flag appears to wave because it has a wire frame to give it the shape in the absence of an atmosphere. And the absence of stars in the photos can be explained by the camera settings and the bright lunar surface. It's not a conspiracy, just a misunderstanding of science.
Okay. Well, all right, Chris. Here's one that you can't deny. Area 51. You think it's just a boring military base?
Sorry, it's my cue. Yes, well, Jerome, Area 51 is indeed a classified military facility, but it's not hiding crashed UFOs or extraterrestrial technology. It's used for testing and development of advanced aircraft and weapon systems.
You sound like you've been brainwashed. There are countless eyewitness accounts of UFO sightings near Area 51. They're hiding the truth from us.
People can see strange things in the sky, but that doesn't necessarily mean that they're alien spacecraft. It could be advanced military technology or simply natural phenomena. Extraordinary claims require extraordinary evidence.
Well. All right, well then let's talk about one that's closer to home. The New World Order.
This is up your alley.
Chris. Obviously. Chris, do you believe powerful elites are secretly controlling the world?
Jerome. While it's true that powerful individuals and organizations have significant influence, the idea of a secret global cabal pulling all the strings is highly unlikely. Global politics and economics are far too complex to be controlled by a small group in secret.
All right. Well, but what about the symbols and the signs they use? The all-seeing eye on the dollar bill, for example.
Those symbols have various interpretations, and many conspiracy theories misinterpret their meaning. The all-seeing eye on the dollar bill represents the idea of a government watching over its people, not a secret world order. The government just wants to watch over you.
Sounds good to me. What possibly could go wrong? Oh my God. Well, all right, fine, Chris. Okay, Chris, how about the Roswell UFO incident? Do you really believe it was just a weather balloon?
Actually, Jerome, the Roswell incident was initially reported as a UFO crash, but later investigations revealed that it was in fact a top-secret project called Project Mogul, which used high-altitude balloons to detect nuclear tests by the Soviet Union.
Come on, Chris. That's just the official cover-up story. There are countless witnesses who claim to have seen alien bodies.
Eyewitness testimony can be unreliable, especially in highly charged situations. Without concrete evidence, we can't jump to conclusions about extraterrestrial involvement.
Okay. All right, Chris. The next topic is a doozy. Have you ever heard about the reptilian elite?
Ah, the reptilian elite, Jerome. You mean the idea that shape-fitting reptilian humanoids secretly control the world's governments and institutions?
The shape-shifting reptilians? Yeah, exactly.
What did I say?
Shape-fitting.
Shape-fitting?
Yeah.
Sorry, shape-shifting reptilian humanoids.
Well, fitting can kind of work too, but
Yeah.
in its own way. Anyway, exactly. It's more than just a theory, Chris. There are tons of evidence out there, like the blurry photos of politicians with strange eyes.
Jerome, those photos can easily be explained by lighting, camera angles, and even Photoshop. There's no concrete evidence to support the existence of shape-shifting reptilians. Here you go. Next topic.
I just can't get through to you, Chris. I just can't. All right. Well, Chris, let's move on to something that's more recent. The COVID-19 pandemic. Do you really think it was just a natural virus, or is there something more sinister at play?
Oh, it looks like it hasn't substituted your name here. It says Max. Jerome. The overwhelming... Max. Who's Max?
I don't know.
I think...
X.
It was one of the characters that came back, and I didn't... I must not have changed it.
You didn't do your editing.
I didn't do my editing.
Well, you had the AI. Should have been doing it for you.
I should have done me. I don't think I gave him the names.
All right. Well, anyway,
as the input. Anyway, Jerome, the overwhelming consensus among scientists, you got to trust the science, is that COVID-19 originated from a natural source, likely a wet market in Wuhan. Extensive research has debunked the idea of it being a bioweapon.
Well, what about the lab leak theory? There's mounting evidence that the virus accidentally escaped from a lab in Wuhan.
Yes, Jerome, the lab leak theory is being investigated, but it's important to distinguish between a lab accident and intentional release. Accidents can happen in any laboratory, and we need concrete evidence before making such claims. I feel like an MSNBC host.
Yeah.
Can you?
It's funny you don't look like Joy Reid. Or maybe you're like a Chris Hayes. But then again, you have to watch MSNBC and who. I don't even know how I know.
I
don't
even know those names. Yeah.
Well, that's because I watch people who critique that channel. But anyway, well, all right then. Chris.
Imagine. Well, can I editorialize?
Okay.
I'm stepping out of character here. Can you imagine going around thinking like this realistic guy? And just really trusting everything?
Well, all right. It's a weird thing. I mean, we're reading this, and this is,
we'll step out of character with the reverb.
Just for a second.
Yeah.
In a weird way, even though I'm known as a CCC, I'm actually kind of falling somewhere right in the middle.
Okay.
I'm not, I don't, reptilian elite. I know, that, by the way, just as if anybody cares about the context, the reptilian elite or shape-shifting thing, that started with a famous British conspiracy theorist named David Icke, who I actually saw in person. He does presentations. I remember the one I saw took 8 hours. It was a full day. They had to have a lunch break and everything. But it was interesting, some of his ideas. But I think that particular thing is far-fetched.
Okay.
As stepping out of character. So there's,
sure.
but there's one more thing on that, the lab leak thing. Like the people might say, some conspiracy theorists will say, no, that's intentional. I believe it could just been a big mess up.
Sure.
And there wasn't quality control.
Yeah.
That should have been done, and it wasn't done. I think that the real conspiracy theory is that it was some bat soup started the whole thing.
Yeah, right.
I find that a little hard to believe. But
anyway,
back to the.
I just wanted to
Go
come
ahead.
off there and just kind of chime in on that. It's like I'm reading this stuff. I'm like, there are actually people that walk out there that just defend everything and just like don't question anything. And those people are real, as are the conspiracy theorists to the extreme, as illustrated here.
Yeah, I think that's what this thing's really good about, because it kind of shows both ends of the spectrum and how it.
Yeah.
And that's why I said I fall somewhere in the middle, because I just. Either side says one side's too credulous and the other side's too incredulous.
Yeah. Good point. All right, here we go. Back to.
Okay, well,
wait.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Here we go. Get your conspiracy sound. Okay, go ahead.
Yes.
Hello. Okay.
Hello, darling. All right, let's switch gears a bit, Chris.
All right.
Have you heard of HAARP, the High Frequency Active Auroral Research Program? That's a big word.
Yes, Jerome. This guy's heard of everything. This guy's really smart. Yes, Jerome. And I happen to know the counter to that. The
Obviously.
HARP is a research program that studies. Oh, let's see. I turned my. It's a little too much. Sorry. Technical difficulties. Okay. HARP is a research program that studies the ionosphere and has been the subject of numerous conspiracy theories, including weather control and mind control.
Exactly. The government claims it's for research, but many believe they're using it to manipulate weather patterns and control our thoughts.
Jerome, the scientific consensus is that HARP is purely a research project and there's no credible evidence to support these conspiracy theories.
Run out of music.
There you go.
Right. Well, all right, Chris. Here's one that's gaining traction. 5G technology. Do you think it's safe, or could it be causing health issues and even COVID-19?
Yeah. Jerome, there's no scientific basis for the idea that 5G technology causes COVID-19 or other serious health problems. Multiple studies have shown that 5G radiation is well within safety limits established by regulatory bodies. They're looking out for you.
Yeah. Okay, well, what about those mysterious symptoms reported in areas with 5G towers?
Correlation doesn't imply causation, Jerome. Don't you know that?
Of course.
Didn't you go to your, market research and
Well, also with
statistics class?
Well, not only that, but just logic class or something.
Yeah. The symptoms could be due to various factors. It's critical to rely on scientific research to understand the potential effects of technology.
'Tis true. All right. Well, Chris. Then I think we should talk about one thing that's been around for centuries: the Illuminati.
Meatpacking glitterati.
That too. They're a subsection of the Illuminati. Do you think that they're still pulling the strings behind world events?
The Illuminati, Jerome. That's an old one. You said that, actually. Centuries.
Centuries, yeah.
Yeah.
Duh.
While there have been secret societies throughout history, the idea of a modern-day Illuminati orchestrating global events lacks credible evidence.
But what about the symbolism in popular culture and the dollar bill?
The dollar bill again, really? Symbolism can be interpreted in many ways, Jerome, and it doesn't necessarily point to a secret global organization. People often see patterns where there aren't any.
Yeah, isn't there a term for that? Anyway. Okay, well, all right.
Last one here.
All right, Chris. Okay. Here's a classic one. Here's a classic from the past. The assassination of JFK. Do you believe that there was a larger conspiracy at play?
The JFK assassination is a complex historical event, Jerome. While there have been numerous conspiracy theories, the official investigation concluded that Lee Harvey Oswald acted alone.
Mm-hmm. But what about the magic bullet theory? It just doesn't add up.
The magic bullet theory has been scrutinized extensively, but it's important to remember that it's a simplified way to explain the trajectory of the bullets. It's not evidence of a conspiracy.
Oh. Well, okay, Mr. Know-It-All.
In closing...
Yes. Well, folks, it seems that Chris is still living in the Matrix. But I'll keep searching for the truth.
And I'll keep providing a balanced perspective based on available evidence. Thanks for joining us on another episode of Conspiracies Unveiled. This has been a Smorgasbord radio show production. Thank you.
Well, you know what? I mean, that was... Can you get me out of the toilet?
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. All right.
Okay. Well, we'll be back after this.
Okay.
This is Baba Ganesh, and this is Breaking Baba News live from Punjab. In an unusual and baffling turn of events, a rural village in India has experienced a goat rebellion that has left the community both perplexed and amused. The incident occurred in the village of Bakaraji in the western state of Gujarat, which is known for its agricultural activities and peaceful environment. However, the tranquil atmosphere was disrupted when a herd of over 100 goats decided to stage a protest. Villagers woke up to the sound of bleating goats congregating in the village square, with banners made of leaves hanging from their horns, seemingly advocating for their rights. The scene was surreal, as these domesticated animals usually go about their business without much commotion. Local authorities were immediately informed, and the village head, Mukesh Patel, along with a team of animal control officers, arrived at the scene. Villagers gathered to watch as the goats, refusing to disperse, carried on their protest by standing their ground. While the exact cause of the goat rebellion remains unknown, some villagers speculated that the goats may have been unhappy with the recent reduction in their daily feed or possibly seeking better grazing opportunities. One onlooker, Lata Ben, said, "I could not believe my eyes. The goats looked so organized, and they were very determined to make their point. It is if they were staging a bizarre protest. Efforts to disperse the goats proved futile, as they stood in a steadfast and orderly manner. Some of them even appeared to be holding signs with messages like more greens, less beans, and equal grazing rights." Mukesh Patel, the village heads, finally decided to call in a local animal communicator, an elderly woman named Saroj Devi, who was known for her ability to communicate with animals. After several hours of negotiations, she was able to convince the goats to disband and return to their respective homes. Saroj Devi later stated, "The goats were trying to express their concerns about their living conditions. We must remember that all living creatures deserve respect and a voice, even if it is through ba rather than speech." While the goat rebellion has left villagers with a mixture of confusion and laughter, it serves as a reminder of the need to pay attention to the welfare of domesticated animals and ensure they receive adequate care. For now, the village of Bakaraji has returned to its peaceful state, and the goats have resumed their usual grazing activities. The goat rebellion will likely remain a memorable and humorous story in the annals of strange events in India. This is Baba Ganesh breaking Baba News live from Punjab.
You're listening to the SmorgShow Podcast.
Charter City is stunned by the sudden rollout of Rook Unlimited's most fantastic device ever. The Smart Mark. Throw your other devices away, because the Smart Mark is more than just a phone. It's part of you. Use it as cash. Book your travel. And even shoot video. Distribution points are all over the city. And don't let the lines discourage you. The Rook Unlimited Smart Mark is worth the wait.
I never realized how wonderful technology could make me feel. The Smart Mark has brought order to my life.
And the best part? It's absolutely free. A gift of thanks to our city from Rook Unlimited.
All right.
Smart Mark
The Smart Mark. That's
of the Beast.
that was from a cartoon in the early 2000s from Stretch Armstrong and the Flex Fighters.
Stretch Armstrong.
And back then it was like, this can't possibly happen.
Well, wasn't that a toy, Stretch Armstrong?
Stretch Armstrong, yeah. That stretch the arms
Yeah,
and
yeah.
snaps back.
I didn't know it turned into a cartoon as well. Like He-Man.
Yeah. Well, thank you, Baba, by the way. That was completely AI generated.
So that never really happened.
Never really happened. Do you really think the goats would be carrying the signs around.
Well, no, I
protesting?
thought that part was fake, but I didn't know if maybe
the whole thing.
the goats. I could almost believe goats like getting together and I don't know about staging protests, but just blocking something. I could believe that part. But,
Yeah.
But the rest of it, I'm definitely not holding signs.
See, you just don't quite know if it's AI or not. You know,
There's parts of it would make. See, the thing is, like parts of it didn't make sense. Didn't seem too far, and then parts of it say, well, it seems it's that ground in between where they get you, and you're just never sure.
But it was pretty wild. It's like, how do you tell AI? I need an installation for Baba Ganesh, international news correspondent from India. Give me a story out of India. It's like, man, it's like that was written for Baba. I mean,
in a flash, so to speak.
Yeah.
And it was just you just put in the basic parameters and just it spat it out, huh?
That's it. Yeah, it's that easy.
Yeah. Gotta be careful.
So, all right, cut it.
Yeah.
So this whole microchip technology. Do you know anything about it?
Microchip. Well, what do you mean? Because I have heard stories in the past where there have been people that have like actually injected under their skin a small rice-sized microchip. Because I know there was somebody in Sweden like years ago.
Exactly, it was Sweden.
And then you could see him. He would go to and pay for his groceries with his wrist, or open a door with his to his office with that. He didn't need. He just carried that on him, and he thought it was like a great.
Yeah.
A great thing. And it's like,
Well, I asked AI to give me some information about the microchip technology and the concept of the anti-chippers. Heard that term?
Yeah, well, it'd probably be me.
Yeah. So what does it say here? In a world where microchip technology has been ubiquitous, a group of vocal critics known as anti-chippers has emerged, staunchly opposing the widespread use of microchips in various aspects of our lives.
They don't sound like a very chipper bunch.
No, not at all. While their concerns might appear legitimate on the surface, it's essential to delve deeper into their arguments and motivations to understand their perspective and assess the validity of their claims. The anti-chip movement is a diverse group of individuals who share a common belief that microchips pose significant risks to privacy, security, and individual freedoms.
Mm-hmm. Okay, sounds reasonable. Yeah. The concerns sound reasonable to me.
Yeah. Their concerns extend to various applications of microchip technology, from implantable medical devices to RFID chips in identification cards. Let's examine some of the key arguments put forth by anti-chippers. The first one is privacy concerns. Anti-chippers often express worries about the potential for abuse of microchip technology by both government and private entities. They argue that the widespread use of microchips could lead to increased surveillance, loss of privacy. While these concerns may seem extreme to some, it's crucial to remember that the protection of personal data is a legitimate concern in the digital age.
Well, especially considering that is now information is now a actual commodity to be bought and sold. So there definitely would be, especially if somebody was not particularly within the corporate structure, if they weren't particularly ethical, and they had access to the information and they could make a quick buck off of it at your expense, what would stop them from doing that?
Absolutely nothing.
And you could say a similar thing with the government. You think if you're part of the government, you wouldn't be corrupt? I mean, the government is corrupt, personally.
Yeah. Now, I fall somewhere in the middle because, I've made a career out of information technology and market research and the whole concept of demographic data married up with sales data and selling that back to consumer packaged goods companies, retailers, et cetera. And, early on, it was just about,
you bought this, you didn't buy that. You bought this at a certain time, but you didn't buy it at another time. And if you're going on that more surface level sort of thing, I don't see as much of a problem with the breach of privacy because, You're in a market. You're buying something. You're in a public space. What you're doing at home on your computer, where you go, what websites you go to, what things you like. That information that dives in a little bit deeper.
Yeah. Now we've always removed the personal identifier from that, so that there really isn't a name associated with it. It's just data point one.
Yeah, it's pure data.
And it's rolled up into an aggregate form, and you can assess behavior patterns and trends and things like that. That's fine. It gets a little more concerning when you start to get it down at the individual level. And let's say, now I'm going into a different topic. There's discussion about these electric cars of the government tracking where each car goes, the miles that you spend. And then you get to a certain point, and it could lead to extra taxes for that person. If they don't want you traveling, they could shut you down. They can control that.
Especially if you're if you're going to be one of those people that would be interested in buying one of those self-driving cars, that would definitely be a thing where outside control of what you're doing with that vehicle would be not that tough. Would be pretty easy to, all right, you've gotten your allotment this month. You go outside, can't drive. And those I think are I believe those are legitimate concerns. Like I said, when it was more anonymous collection of data for purposes of proper marketing, who would have a problem with that? We all grew up with that from kids. We remember about marketing and getting information. That's not so much the issue. It's when they pry deeper and then use that information as a way to either manipulate you personally or use it in, let's say, how they're doing in China with the social credit system, where they follow what you do, and then they give you a certain point level, and if you fall a certain point, they can actually take away rights and privileges from you.
Yeah,
and that is happening currently now in China. So it's like, well, that's just China. It'll never happen here. Well, what do you think the people that are outside of China, looking at China, are thinking?
Right.
I mean, the muckety-mups at the top, and the corporations and governments. They look at something like China and they say, oh, this could be a template.
Yeah. Well, also a couple episodes ago when we talked about the racist doorbell and Amazon locking that poor guy out of his house, his smart home, because the doorbell thought he said something, and I got a problem with that. Not about being the racial part of it, just the fact that a company like Amazon could totally lock you out of your home.
Well, I remember that story, and I remember you talking about it, and I did partially feel bad for him in one respect, but then part of me did not, because it's like you house,
created this atmosphere, this environment for yourself.
This smart house that is now controlled by an outside source. Your house, and your access to your house should not have anybody.
Yeah, you just turn your whole access to your home over to Amazon, basically.
Yeah, and it's like, people have fought centuries to have proper. Property rights. Your ancestors probably were tenant farmers somewhere and had no rights, and a couple hundred years later, they've actually fought, and you could have your own home and have everything, and you've just handed it back over to the same entities that had it a couple hundred years ago. Now they got the technology to make it even harder for you to get your stuff back.
Yeah, and especially Gen Z, who's grown up never know a world without it. They are so trusting. They just turn over. They don't care. They click the I agree to this, these terms, without even reading it, without understanding the data that they're getting. It's like, that's fine. I'm not doing anything wrong.
Oh yeah, there's the old argument: if you're not doing anything wrong, you have nothing to hide. Yeah, I've heard that argument too. I think I'm sure Mao Zedong used that argument as well. Before he put the bullet in your head. But anyway. But yeah, that's the point. And you have to come to understand, where is the acceptable boundary? Mm-hmm. Where do you draw the line and say this no further?
Yeah. Well, beside privacy, there's also the security risks. Critics of microchips point to the vulnerability of these devices to hacking and unauthorized access. They argue that implantable microchips in particular could be exploited by malicious actors to compromise an individual's safety and well-being. Ensuring the security of such devices is undoubtedly a valid concern that merits attention.
Well, they're concerned it's hackable.
Yeah.
Okay.
Ethical considerations about the use of microchips, especially in cases where implantation is involuntary or coerced. There are concerns about bodily autonomy and consent are essential aspects of the ongoing debate about the technology. And then finally, health risks, potential health. About long-term health effects of implanting microchips in the human body. Yeah, I would think so.
That would probably be, for me, number one. Is like you're putting some alien
foreign substance
into my body, and you have not done enough research to know this prolonged. And by the way, it's going to attract some because it's communicating. It's probably going to some level of EMF radiation.
Yeah, sure.
It's constantly coming into your body.
Yeah,
as it's through this conduit. Is it a small enough amount that it doesn't really matter? Or is it over time going to be something, is like, I'll give you an example. Remember Johnny Cochran, the lawyer for O.J. Simpson during the O.J. trial?
Yeah.
That's pretty big. I think people know the O.J. trial. Well, he used to be constantly on his cell phone back in the day. Constantly. And he ended up dying of a brain tumor, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh.
At least some sort of cancer.
Yeah.
Triggered. And most people now believe that was triggered by his constant use of, especially those old cell phones that probably didn't have much in the way of shielding and everything. How much shielding, how much safety is going to be built into these microchips that you're going to be implanting in your body so that they won't have long-term, what is it going to trigger on a cellular level in your body? Did they have the actual evidence / research to point to the safety of it, the efficacy of it?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I don't think that's. But Chris, though, for a second here, do I sound like a crazy conspiracy theorist to bring up these? Well, I mean, yeah, because the thing is,
there was a time.
Well, all right, but hear me out, though.
Yeah, I'm hearing you.
Yeah, I mean, you can speculate and go farther, but you could just stop with just asking these questions that I just asked you. There are people who would say that the questions I asked were putting me into the category of a crazy conspiracy theorist. So, well, I'm sure they've done all the research necessary, and you put the chick, it'd be fine. You shouldn't be asking these questions. You're just being anti-science and a crazy conspiracy theorist. And it's like, you've listened to me. You heard what I just said. It makes perfect sense. But they're, like you said, Gen Z, maybe some millennials, they're totally credulous to it. And I think partly, too, for them, they're very addicted to ease. They don't want, if they can get it done easier.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, wait a minute. I don't whip up my cash out of my wallet. I got a phone. I'll just use my phone. I can tell you, going to any store and you just see somebody whipping out their phone and paying that way.
Well, I can't criticize them because I am a geek, a techie. I like to use new technology and test it out. Yeah, I got the smartwatch. I paid with this, and it's like, oh yeah, I like that stuff. I like the gadgets. So I'm more amazed with the technology, and I give that maybe a second thought. It's an afterthought.
Well, I know myself. I've been using more cash lately because I believe we need to keep that going. If we move everything into a digital format, it would be very easy for the people that are like printing money to say, well, we don't need this anymore. We'll just go and give you digital dollars. And I've heard them talking about digital currency, the central bank digital currency. You've heard about that, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm not saying it's here yet, but I'm just saying.
In some ways, we've been kind of a digital society for decades. I mean, your paycheck, it's deposited.
Right.
You pay bills, and it's like you never exchange. I mean, some people still write checks, but still, these auto pays. It's like, where's the money? You don't even see the money anymore. It's just a transaction.
Right. I mean, a lot of it is in a sense virtual money, which brings me to and also think about all the credit you do, your credit cards and all that, and that's like, which is basically a virtual loan because they're not. It's not like the credit card, like shoots out dollar bills at a person. It's the card itself, and all that is like goes to the credit card company that keeps your account of what you charged and everything. And then you pay them through a service online where you don't see the money going anywhere. It's not like you go to the MasterCard kiosk somewhere and hand them all the money for whatever transactions, with the actual dollar bills or anything like that. It's all, like you said, it's all virtual.
And there is some truth to, I think you spend more when you're not paying cash because there's this, if you got to fork over a bunch of 10s and 20s for something, you start to equate that with the time it took you to earn that. Mm-hmm. It's like, I'm actually turning over this cash. When you use a debit card even, forget credit, just the concept of digital payment, you don't have that concept of forking something over. So I think you tend to spend more.
Well, actually, in my life, that's turned out to be very true because I had a number of debit cards, but each one of them, I think it's somewhat, because I knew initially that it was compromised, my debit cards compromised, and people somewhere were making small purchases using my debit card, like a couple of bucks or something.
Uh-huh.
And then, by the way, I went to the bank and got that all cleared up. But the thing is, in the meantime, every time I got a new debit card, and they changed up the number and everything, they still found a way of using that new debit card. So it's like, I'm done. So now all I have now is actual cash and a credit card. That's it.
There you go.
And now when I make purchases, I pull out X number, 100, 200 bucks. I know how long that's going to last me, what I buy, whatever, how fast I go through it. It makes you, seeing the actual physical cash does make you more aware of how quickly you spend things. And I think a lot of people getting in heavy debt is the fact that everything is on their phone, on their card, whatever. So they never get the actual, like, oh, wait a minute, this much is coming out of my bank account.
Yeah.
Or I'm getting this much in debt.
Yeah. All right. Well, I might as well celebrate myself, okay? A little after the fact here. It's my birthday. Well, birthday was about 10 days ago. And for my birthday, I took Jerry out to lunch today to a vegan restaurant. What's
wrong with this statement?
Which was my first choice.
And I appreciate it, sir. That means I have to buy you a 10-course dinner when I have my birthday.
Who's Sunita? All kidding aside,
Sunita's a mighty fine senorita.
Kidding aside, Jerry did give me a card, and I'm going to open that up now. It's addressed to C. Buki.
Buki.
Buki. You got the
umlaut, the little dots.
Yes. Let's see what he has to say.
Well, you're going to be disappointed with this.
Hopefully I can read this.
Probably not.
A long time ago in a galaxy far, far away, you were born.
Boom, boom.
Wishing you the bestest 57th birthday ever. Is that how old I am?
Yeah.
What the hell happened to me? Belatedly, hoping you will see 57 more, you old fart. Nice emoji. Crappy emoji, it says here.
Yeah.
From Yo Pal for Life, DJ Jerome Esquire.
A.K.A.
J-Dog. Ah, look at that. A Visa gift card. I just had one of these, a vanilla Visa. It doesn't taste like vanilla, though. I'm very disappointed.
Boy, I didn't even notice that when I bought it.
Yeah, it's called vanilla. I don't know why they call it that.
Maybe it would smell vanilla. Like you get a little waft of like...
No, it's not even a scratch and sniff.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Well, you know what? What else can I get for the guy who's got everything?
You know what I like to do with these? I like to convert them over to some other transaction, like buy a gift card for some. Actually, it doesn't matter. What I hate about the actual Visa part of it is that you get it down to like $2 remaining, and then you can't use it for anything unless you use it exactly for the amount. So if you get it down to $2 and then you want to buy like a gallon of gas, you can't use it. So if you
Buy a third of a gallon of gas.
if you convert it to a Best Buy card or an Amazon card, you have it, and then you can use it towards a outstanding balance, and then you can pay the difference. So I will do that. Does that make any sense? Does that make any sense at all?
As long as it makes you happy, Chris, I really don't care
This makes me
what.
very happy. Here I'm critiquing the gift. No, I'm critiquing it. I'm just saying that's something I've noticed about gift cards.
The only thing I ask is you don't throw it at my head. Otherwise, I don't care.
No, this is very good. Thank you. It's very much appreciated. I will find use for this.
That's the idea. I'd rather have a useful gift than one that has sentimental value but is pretty much useless.
No, I appreciate this. And I'm glad you didn't get me booze this year.
Well, it seemed to me that you had that base covered, so why would I add to the party is already going. I don't really need to add to it.
That's right. I don't need it to have fun with you, my friend. Anyway.
No, we can just pretend to fake podcasts within podcasts.
That's right. Well,
which I actually had fun with. I liked it.
That was fun. That was different. I kind of want to play around with it. Maybe we can use it again sometime. You come up with a topic, and we'll just see what it generates for us.
That would be pretty fascinating.
Maybe in the next episode we can test it out. But anyway,
yeah.
Anything else? Closing theme? Closing comments before I head us out here?
Well, no. I mean, I just think if I'd make some sort of like general statement about AI.
Yeah.
I say like AI and advanced technology are great tools if they're used correctly. If you are if you're not safe in how you use these things, if you're not cognizant, you're not aware. It's like if you use a saw, a power saw or whatever.
Yeah.
But you don't take the proper safety measures.
Yes.
You end up like losing a finger.
Right.
Well, the same thing with AI. If you don't keep it within check, within a certain parameters, and use it safely in that regard, yeah, it'll be something that could come and bite you in the butt.
Yeah.
And that's all I got to say. And the other thing I got to say is I hope everybody out there has a great day or night, depending on when you're listening.
Very good. Happy Halloween, and we'll be back in another episode very soon.
Happy Halloween.